I have a question,
Yes, and
but it might sound a bit silly. Um, what does it mean to be a man today? I've come across this, but I actually mean it. I come across this sort of thing in my life. It's like this masculine and manly, and like I like to hustle and like invest and train and work out, and women are, I don't know, like ta 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 ta. This really like, and it puts me off a bit sometimes because I'm actually pretty soft and like I don't know, like mellow or like
both. Look,
feminine, you
listen.
know.
I mean, what kind of an answer can I give you? You know, we live in a world today where gay, straight, transgender. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know what goes on today. And I don't have an answer to that question. What does it mean to be a man? Maybe it really is important to recognize that all men have qualities of women inside them. You know, men give, they're the hunters, they're the warriors. You know, women receive and they give birth. We all have that inside us. And the whole point of, spiritual practice is to unify the yin and the yang, the male female principle inside every single one of us. And what goes on in the world with people, they don't know if they're boys or girls or men or I don't know. I read this stuff and I go, you know what? You know, it's more important to bring together and unify all the different aspects of ourselves. And we have inside us male aspects, we have female aspects, we have all of that lives inside every single human being. And we have to create a holistic person and not separate ourselves. Well, I'm a man, you're a woman, I And what do we all want really? We just want to love and be loved. I don't care if you're man, woman, transgender, gay, straight, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all those initials they give to people. What ultimately gets down to the bottom line, we want to be loved and we want to love. And that is only possible if we can open inside ourselves and learn how to give and learn how to receive unconditionally. We can learn both the masculine and feminine aspects of ourselves and make room for other people to live inside us. So I don't have an answer to that. I mean, to me, I look at it as just crazy, I don't, I don't even think about it. I say, well, look, I mean, I know, look, I know I know a kid who I used to see all the time, and and suddenly her mother told me she's decided she's transgender and she wants to be a boy. And this little adorable girl who I used to say, I can't be here and have a successful trip unless I hug you, So now she wants to be a boy. I mean, what am I going to say? It just makes my head spin around. That's her life, her choice. Let her be what she wants to be. I'll hug her anyway. Boy, girl, it doesn't matter to me. So what I'm saying is the bottom line to all of this is, what do we want? We all want to be loved. And we identify with certain areas of life that we think are going to bring us that love. They rarely do. The only way you get that love is by learning how to open in yourself, making room for people to live inside you, learning how to give and to receive from another human being. And it doesn't matter if you're gay, you're straight, you're queer, you're this, you're that. Who cares? Because beneath all of that, those initials, is one reality. Everybody wants to be loved. And they want to be able to love and to receive love. So the real problem is not your gender. The real problem is, have you worked deep enough on yourself to get to a place where you can do this, where you can truly, unconditionally love other human beings or one other human being, and then it doesn't matter whether we're male, female, gay, straight, queer, you know, whatever these initials are. I mean, it doesn't matter, because ultimately what matters is, you know, in order to become a child of God, we have to learn to be happy people, and we have to learn how to love unconditionally. That is such a major step on the path to spiritual enlightenment. Just learning that. And that it doesn't matter what the hell we are. And everything else is a cover-up for learning that, living that way. So I don't have an answer about all this stuff that goes on in the world. I read about it and I kind of laugh. I say, you know, look, I've known, I don't know how many straight people and gay people in my life. When I was younger, I was 17. I used to hang out with a whole crowd of gay people. I wasn't gay, but I said, okay, I'll learn from them, whatever that is they have to teach. I was a young kid. And then all of a sudden my life changed and I was hanging out with only straight people, you know? I said, what? You know, it all became part of a learning experience for me. And ultimately it came down to the bottom line was, Stuart, you were born here to truly learn how to love unconditionally, no matter what a person is. And I find very strong female qualities in myself. You know, I find very strong masculine qualities in myself. And I don't negate either one of them. And I'm not really bisexual either. It's just that those qualities exist inside, you know? So I don't have an answer, Jen. It's just the craziness of the world. And I mean, macho and feminine. And, you know, to me, it was always just bullshit, you know? It's just a cover up of very frightened people who truly are afraid to truly learn how to live in this world and to find in themselves a heart that's open, unconditional love, be non-judgmental, you know, and to allow the world to be just what it is. I mean, you know, in the United States, it's getting insane here with laws being passed against gay people. I mean, it's crazy, you know? You know, I mean, it's just such tight, judgmental, uptight human beings that are saying, this is the way I think it had, so everybody has to live this way. But nobody does. Everybody lives according to their own unique being. and, So to me, it's just essential to just accept people as they are and try to open deep enough in myself to not judge them. And if they want to learn what I have to teach, I don't care. I mean, I'll tell you this true story. I had a student once when I was living in Texas. She was a lesbian. And this is back in the 70s. And to be a lesbian, to be gay in Texas, you took your life in your hands. You literally had to live in a closet. It was so terrible there. And one day she comes to me. She used to come to my classes all the time. She said, Stuart, how can I study with you? You know, I'm a lesbian, I'm gay. And I looked at her and I just, with a smile on my face, I said, you know something? I don't care if you sleep with sheep. It's not my problem. It's your problem. I only care about one thing. Do you want a spiritual life? And she said, yes, I do. You qualify 100%. So she started crying. She said, you're the only person in this entire town who would ever tell me anything like that. You know? So that's the way I approach these things. You know, I don't want to love people because they, they have a certain preference for their sexuality. I want to love people because their hearts are open. They want a spiritual life. They're willing to open to receive what is being given. You know, they add a dimension to my life by being who they are. And, you know, talking like this in parts of the United States, I could get killed. I'm not kidding you. People are so racist and so sexually, you know, crazy about their sexual beliefs. I could get killed talking like this. But I just learned years ago, it's just a hopeless battle. And I'd much rather put my energy into learning how to open, to keep my heart open, to respect people's choices in life, to nurture them if they truly want a spiritual life, you know, and they come to my classes and I can do whatever I can to help them to grow without one inkling or even thought about what their sexual preferences are. It's not my business. Does anyone
Cool, thanks.
no plans on talking about anything even remotely like this, but it's a good conversation. And thank you for the questions. Ken. Very nice. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? It's God's world. It's not my world. God has created all this stuff. And I think it's all created so that we have to learn something about living with other human beings. No.
That's really good.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart, I will try to make a question. I felt that I was coming in this war, but I wasn't. My mother was. She wasn't glad to have me.
I didn't get the question.
My mother. I just felt that my mother. She didn't love me when I came to this war. It's not first time, but it was very strong this time.
Look, you know, I went through that, Flora, not thinking my parents loved me, angry at them, not wanting to grow up and live my life the way they wanted me to live my life. You know, and when I was a young person, I fought with them all the time. And then when I was 18 years old, I ran away from home. I went out into the world. I got an apartment. I was living in Manhattan, you know, and I felt that. And I had to learn how to get bigger than that. I had to learn something very important. My parents weren't perfect. My parents weren't God. They lived with their insecurities, their flaws, their problems, and they would subject me to their problems. And you, as a kid, you always think your parents are supposed to be perfect. You know, they're not. They're just human beings with all the problems that other human beings have. And they don't raise any of us to perfection. They just do their best. And when I finally realized that, my whole inner life changed. And it made it possible for me to just love my parents, to recognize that whatever they did give birth to me. And they were the channel through which God sent me into this world. And I had to be responsible for loving them. I had to be bigger than all of those thoughts I had when I was a kid. And I think we all have this problem. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's parents are perfect. Nobody's parents can love 1,000%. You know, but then we have to get big enough to say, okay, my parents are imperfect. My parents made mistakes. They treated me sometimes pretty terrible. Okay, I have to get bigger than that. I have to grow in myself and become bigger than that. And I have to truly get big enough to learn how to love them, because they were the path you chose to come into the world, you know? So there's something there we all have to learn. And I know this is not easy, but as long as you don't learn this, you live with a heavy heart. And the day that this becomes clear to you, all the heaviness goes away. That has to do with your parents.
It's just like something that my body is feeling.
Yes.
I love my mother, and I take care of her when she was sick and everything. And this is just my body's remember now.
Yeah, but you see, you take care of her, but the internal has yet to accept and has yet to open to this. And that's the heaviness you feel.
Yes.
So part of the work that I teach and they're trying to learn from me is how to build a system that can overcome that heaviness. And that really has to do with unconditional. Look, I always tell people, you know, the only people you can't turn away from are your parents and your children. And that is a very difficult responsibility right there, because those are the people that are the closest to us. You can't turn your back on your parents. And I did when I was younger. I ran away from home. I was living in Europe. I was living in North Africa. I was living all over the world, for God's sake. You know? I remember once, this is really funny. I was 21 years old and I was living in Paris. And I was selling newspapers on the street in order to make money. And this is really funny. And one day I'm there by the Opera House and, selling these New York Times, the American edition. And this guy comes and taps me on the shoulder. And I look at him and I say, yes, how can I help you? He said to me, and he shows me a badge. He was from Interpol. And I said, what did I do? And he said, just call your mother. This guy told me. I looked at him, I started to laugh so hard. I said, don't you have anything better to do? I asked him. He said, no, call your mother. Then I found out I had an uncle who used to be a superintendent in the police department. And he got one of these guys to track me down in Paris and find me and tell me to call my mother.
Okay. Wow.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. I laughed so hard. He showed me his Interpol badge. He said, call your mother.
Did you call your mother?
Yeah, I went and called her and I said, what are you doing sending Interpol after me? I said, I'm fine. He said, trust me, if I wasn't fine, you would probably hear about it, So I had a good kind. My mother was kind of like that. She was also nervous. So she once calls me up. This is also a true story. And she said, now this is later on, I was teaching and had a whole different relationship with her. And she used to come to my classes and you never call me, you never call me, you never call me. She was going on for like 5 minutes, you never call me. So I said, all right, Ma. I said, so I hung up. I waited about 30 seconds and I called her back. Hi, Ma, how you doing? just calling you to tell you I love you. She started to laugh. And she said to me, she was just tension. You understand? It was just her tension. And I realized it. And when I did this, it broke up all her tension. And she says, okay, I'll speak. She said, but not in 30 seconds. It just broke up her tension. She was feeling a little bit sorry for herself. Oh, you never called me. You never called. All right, I called her 30 seconds later. Oh, but don't call me in 30 seconds. It's all right.
I understand her.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you just have to learn how to deal with your parents, your children, so you can break up all of that tension and that insecurity, and
I'm feeling very good now.
You look better. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Excuse me. Okay, if there are no more questions, then we'll have meditation tomorrow. Or tomorrow, no, Sunday. What is today? It's Thursday, Sunday. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you for the questions. And thank you for coming to these classes. They sure help me to grow, and hopefully they help you all to grow as well. God bless you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again. Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you too.
Happy Easter.
Bye.
Happy Easter. You don't